You're listening to The Voluntary Life, where you can hear ideas for finding freedom in an unfree world. Visit thevoluntarylife.com to connect with the show and hear all past episodes. Here's your host, Jake.
Hi, it's Jake here. Welcome to The Voluntary Life. This episode is about entrepreneurship and financial independence. I'm sharing a chapter from the audiobook of my book, Job Free: 4 Ways to Quit the Rat Race and Achieve Financial Freedom on Your Terms. In that book, I describe different strategies for living job-free, and the strategy that I'm describing in this chapter is lifestyle businesses. If you like the sound of this episode, then you'll definitely enjoy the whole book, Job Free, which you can get on Amazon as an ebook and paperback, and on Audible as an audiobook. And I'll put links to all those in the show notes. So without further delay, here's a chapter from the audiobook of my book, Job Free. Chapter 3. Lifestyle Businesses. Can a business be used to change the world, like The Body Shop or Patagonia? Yes, but that isn't our goal here. Can a business be used to cash out through an IPO or sale? Yes, but that isn't our goal either. Our goal is simple: to create an automated vehicle for generating cash without consuming time. Tim Ferriss. Pat Flynn's story. Pat Flynn worked at an architectural practice doing CAD drawings. When the Great Recession hit in 2008, his company downsized him out of a job. He hadn't planned to work for himself, but he needed to find a new way to make a living. Around the time that he lost his job, Pat had been studying for various technical certifications. He had kept a blog about the things he learned as he studied. Partly as a break from studying, he spent a lot of time improving the blog until it became a very professional website. Without planning it, Pat created a unique resource for people studying for the same exams as he was. The blog became very popular. He added advertisements to the blog, which brought in a little income. Then he started selling ebooks, which brought in more income. Gradually, he added a range of products to the website to bring in even more. Pat had moved from being an employee to being someone with an online business selling digital products. He now runs a website called Smart Passive Income, through which he helps others develop similar businesses. You can read about his story in his book, Let Go. The mindset behind a lifestyle business. I'm using Pat as an example of a lifestyle business that is used to fund a job-free life. As you listen to this chapter, bear in mind that this is just one way to run a business and not the only way. Other kinds of business can give you a job-free life too. We will explore more options afterwards. Lifestyle entrepreneurs have a different motivation behind work to unjobbers. Whereas unjobbers want to spend time working on activities that they find fulfilling, a lifestyle business owner aims to spend as little time as possible working. Lifestyle entrepreneurs view their businesses as a means to an end. They develop a business in order to make money efficiently. They want to maximize their time outside the business. For example, someone who rents out properties is probably not doing so because she finds property rental fulfilling in itself. Rather, she aims to make money that will give her more freedom. She may also gain fulfillment from her mastery of the business challenges or from the professionalism that she exercises. Nonetheless, the business is more of a means to an end than a calling. Creating a lifestyle business involves undertaking entrepreneurial risk. Someone developing a business usually invests their own resources and puts them at greater risk for the potential of greater reward than the saver who uses passive investments. All entrepreneurship involves investing resources with an uncertain return and the possibility of loss. The goal of this approach is to make as much money as possible with the minimum effort necessary. The purpose of a lifestyle business is to give you an income and a lot of free time, enabling you to find fulfillment outside the business. Examples of lifestyle businesses. The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss was an influential book that encouraged people to start lifestyle businesses. Tim Ferriss himself used a combination of a lifestyle business and selling a startup. More about that in Chapter 4, Startups. However, his book provided a vision of a lifestyle supported by a business that only requires 4 hours of work per week. That vision has inspired many to try to replicate this approach. Typically, a lifestyle business involves a lot of upfront work to create a recurring revenue stream, either from property or from products that you can scale very easily. One of the most common lifestyle businesses is based on the ownership and rental of real estate. Rosie Tran is a comedian and host of the Out of the Box podcast. She is working towards financial independence together with her husband. Rosie described to me how she witnessed success with the real estate lifestyle business strategy within her family. Quote, "My uncle is an immigrant. He speaks barely any English, but after starting on $20,000 a year as a city worker, he is now a multimillionaire with over 100 rental properties. He and my aunt were both working, and they used one income to support themselves while they poured the other income into investing in foreclosed properties that they fixed up. Once you have 2, 3, or 4 properties, it turns into a giant snowball of passive income." End quote. Real estate is not the only kind of business that can provide passive income. In recent years, it has been increasingly possible to create online businesses that provide similar benefits. The idea is to create a digital product that you can resell many times online. An ebook is an example of a digital product that can provide passive income. Companies like Amazon have opened up publishing to the masses, removing barriers to entry in this business. Traditional publishing companies used to act as gatekeepers, which meant that you could only publish your book if you managed to persuade a publisher that the risk was worth it. Now, with the internet, you can take on the risk yourself and see if you can find a market. Todd Tressida is a self-made millionaire who now runs the website Financial Mentor, teaching others how to develop their wealth. When I interviewed Todd, he described how he developed online products on the back of his mentoring work. Quote, "A common issue that I deal with is how much money you need to retire. I run into that with virtually every client since they are all in the pursuit of financial freedom. After a while, I got down a system, so I wrote a book called How Much Money Do I Need to Retire? Last time I checked, it was actually number 1 for the keywords retirement planning. It took a lot of work to produce a really good book. But that book is sitting up there and it's selling around 400 copies a month, so I am building a relationship with 400 or so people a month. I sat down for a period of time, worked hard, got it down, and now it just multiplies." End quote. You can also transform a more traditional offline business into a lifestyle business model. David Kahn is an entrepreneur who listens to my podcast. He contacted me from Chiang Mai, Thailand, to tell me about his experience in transforming his business to enable him and his family to travel the world. David described his business transformation. Quote, "I started a business that solves complex problems for our clients using a suite of enterprise resource planning products that Microsoft manufactures. With every single thing that I did in the business, I always asked myself, am I doing this in a way that is going to free me from having to do it in the future? That means building processes, training, documentation, technology, and workflow so that after I'm done doing it for the first time, everything is ready for others to do it in future." End quote. David created a lifestyle business based on consultancy services, not online information products. He manages his business over the internet, even though the work itself is still face-to-face and locally delivered. Lifestyle entrepreneurs and taxes. Entrepreneurs use the advantages of running a business to control their level of tax liability, much more than employees are able to. Joshua Sheets, the financial advisor and host of the Radical Personal Finance podcast, described the difference in options available to employees and entrepreneurs when it comes to taxes. Quote, "Individual employees have almost no flexibility with their tax planning, but the employer, the entrepreneur, even at the smallest level, has an incredible amount of flexibility. I was working with a couple recently who are both high-income employees. One spouse is a pharmacist and the other is a physical therapist. They said to me, "We pay so much in tax, what can we do?" Unfortunately, as an employee, there are a few little tricks, but none of them make nearly as big a difference as you could get if one of the spouses stopped working as a pharmacist and started running a pharmacy of their own instead. That would make a huge difference. End quote. Here is how financial mentor Todd Tressida described the entrepreneurial outlook in regard to taxes. Quote, "The government has decided that they want to incentivize certain behavior, so they offer tax advantages to those behaviors in order to encourage activity there. Business entrepreneurship is an example. A tremendous amount of expenses are deductible legitimately through a business as an entrepreneur. There are all kinds of tax advantages built into the code by design. It behoves you to learn that, and it puts money in your pocket every year when you understand the tax law and you respond to it and create a smart strategy based on it." End quote. Location independence. A lifestyle business gives you a lot of freedom as a business owner. For example, you don't need to be located in the same country as your business. You can take advantage of this freedom as an opportunity to minimize your expenses in many ways. One technique commonly used by lifestyle business owners for minimizing their expenses is geo-arbitrage. This means locating yourself somewhere with low-cost living expenses and selling your digital products through the internet to markets that can afford to pay well. Pete Sisko is a self-made millionaire who enjoys a lifestyle of perpetual travel with his wife. He was one of the pioneers of using self-publishing on the internet, starting back in the 1990s. Here is how Pete described his lifestyle of perpetual travel to me. Quote, "Around 2005, I had been earning my income online and only online for several years. Gradually, it began to dawn on me that because all my income came from online sources, I really had the ability to live anywhere that I wanted. At the time, I was living in the United States. I first said to myself, why am I living in a state that has state income tax? I should move to one of the states that has no state income tax. Gradually, in that process, I thought, why am I even living in a country with federal income tax? That doesn't work for everybody. I happen to not be an American. It's very difficult for Americans to escape their domestic taxes. So I started to look at the whole world as a place that I could live. Ever since 2006, my wife and I have traveled. At that time, some of our kids were still younger and we all traveled together. We started in Belize and Mexico, two countries that I really like. I lived in Belize long enough to become a permanent resident. That was a tactical move because Belize is a tax haven country. If you are a resident of Belize, they do not tax any income that you earn outside Belize. Since then, we've lived in Thailand, mainland China, the UK, Crete, and Malaysia. It's a very liberating lifestyle. I've turned into a real evangelist for it. I am such a believer in the freedom that it gives you. It's unlike anything that human beings have experienced for centuries, other than people who were born into fantastically wealthy families. For the average person who has to earn income and has bills to pay every month, it's almost unimaginably liberating to make income from an internet business that does not require you to live in any one place." End quote. Delegation and outsourcing. A business will only give you free time if you don't have to manage it every day. So lifestyle entrepreneurs tend to use as many techniques for delegation as possible. The idea is to delegate as much of your own tasks in running the business as you can. One way to do this is to hire virtual assistants. These people work for you online to do any tasks that don't require your own efforts. As virtual assistants tend to be located in low-cost countries, this technique is also another example of minimizing expenses through geo-arbitrage. It is possible to benefit from outsourcing many functions beyond assistant roles. David Kahn told me about how he uses outsourcing to keep his consultancy business as lean as possible, giving him less to manage. Quote, A client can show up anywhere in the country and occasionally anywhere in the world. As soon as that client expresses a need, we try to meet that unique need geographically, functionally, product module-wise, language-wise, etc., by working with a large community of independent consultants around the world. We've established a network of resources that specialize in different areas. We even call on our competitors for resources. We cherry-pick from those resources to bring together the most relevant team that is physically present for the client. When you look at what traditional companies do, they put the person who is on the bench, who is not engaged at another project, on your project, regardless of whether or not that person has the right skill set. We don't have people sitting on the bench. Instead, we look for that right person for your project, a person who is in your area. So our customers give us the feedback that they get a much more relevant team than they've had with competitors. You pay a little more to run your business in this way because you are typically using more experienced people who can charge you higher bill rates, or because you're paying a competitor, so there's overhead in that. So you take a little less profit there, but on the flip side, you save enough in overhead costs for not having them on the payroll and in your benefits and so on, and from not having any underutilization costs when they're not engaged and you are still paying their salary. End quote. Here's how Pete Sisko described his use of worldwide outsourcing to create his ebooks. Quote, "There's a fellow in New Zealand who I have never met in person, but I have done business with for over 10 years. He created all my ebook covers. I really love the fact that he and I can transact business on a value-for-value basis, and there are no third parties that step into the picture. There is no international ministry of ebook publication and distribution that makes a whole bunch of rules about minimum prices. Who knows what regulation they could come up with? All that just gets stripped away. Two people can trade with each other from literally halfway around the world, and there's never been a hiccup. That is the future of the world." End quote. Things to consider about lifestyle businesses. If you like the idea of a lifestyle business, it is important to consider how you feel about running a company aside from the potential benefit of more free time that it might give you. Only a small fraction of entrepreneurs manage to arrange their businesses in such a way to truly deliver the kind of lifestyle freedom described in this chapter. There is no guarantee that you will be able to run a business on just a few hours of work a week. You may miscalculate the potential and find that your business requires all your time to stay afloat. Many entrepreneurs imagine that their business will deliver passive income, when the reality is more often that it could deliver recurring income, which is very different. Recurring income is simply income that you receive on an ongoing basis rather than a one-time payment. It is tempting to think of this income as passive since the money keeps coming in. But how much ongoing work do you need to do to keep that recurring income flowing? If you have to work on your business all day, it is not providing passive income, it is just giving you recurring income. I share the enthusiasm that lifestyle entrepreneurs have for finding ways to extract themselves from the day-to-day operations of their businesses. It is healthy for your own sanity not to be stuck firefighting in the business. It's better for the health of the business if it's not dependent on the entrepreneur's constant tinkering to survive. It is also good for your humility to ensure that the business doesn't revolve around you. The mission of a business is to help customers, not to make the entrepreneur feel wanted or look important. Building a business requires a huge investment of effort. Even if you eventually create a business that will give you a lot of free time, it will still require a lot of work to get started. To be a successful business owner, you need the stamina to keep building your venture in the face of significant challenges. If your motivation for starting a business is purely to create an automated vehicle for generating cash without consuming time, as Tim Ferriss put it, then it will be a failure if it does consume your time. However, if you build a business to achieve a goal that you feel passionate about, then it may not matter so much if you spend more of your time working than you initially hoped. Motivation in entrepreneurship is a matter of personal choice. I created a business because I believed in the purpose. It was in line with my vision for how I could improve the lives of others. Part of the fun of entrepreneurship is the chance to bring something into the world that reflects your values. I view entrepreneurship as an opportunity to express character. If you find a way to gain fulfillment from doing business, rather than solely from the free time that your business income gives you, then it doesn't matter if you end up spending more hours working. You are still going to be your own boss. You will still have a job-free life. Further resources on lifestyle businesses. If you would like to learn more about building a lifestyle business, here are some further resources that I recommend. Podcast episodes. You can hear the interviews mentioned in this chapter in the following episodes of The Voluntary Life. Episode 119, How to Develop Your Wealth Plan, an interview with Todd Tressida. Episode 130, Perpetual Travelers Part 2, interview with Pete Sisko. Episode 131, Perpetual Travelers Part 3, interview with David Kahn. Episode 147, Out of the Box interview, Financial Freedom and Personal Development. Episode 209, Tax Strategies and Financial Freedom Part 1, interview with Joshua Sheets. Books. If you are interested in reading about lifestyle businesses, I recommend you start with The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss to get an overview of this approach to entrepreneurship. You may also enjoy Pat Flynn's short book, Let Go, for a personal story of his journey into this kind of business. Some entrepreneurship books are useful for both lifestyle businesses and startups. Michael Gerber's classic, The E-Myth Revisited, is a great guide for how to make a business scalable. Rework, by Jason Fried and David Heinemeier Hansen, is a more up-to-date guide to best practices. Harry Brown's book, How I Found Freedom in an Unfree World, is more personal and broader in scope, but it has a strong focus on entrepreneurship and is an all-round inspiring read. Although the focus is on startups, I cover topics relevant to all entrepreneurship in my own book, Becoming an Entrepreneur.
Thank you for listening to The Voluntary Life. If you like this podcast, please show your support by becoming a patron of The Voluntary Life on Patreon. Your support will help to grow and improve the show, and you'll get access to a treasure trove of rewards, including bonus episodes. Visit thevoluntarylife.com to learn more.